Coach, when you look at Ohio State offensively, what stands out? Kind of where I know you're focused on a lot of things, but what stands out about them?
Yeah, I think it's the skill. They got really good skill. Traditionally, they've always had really good wideouts. Schematically, they put you in a lot of situations to try to put stress on the defense. So, they got good coaches, good players. They're an Ohio State team. Some of the teams I've seen in the past, they're very similar to that.
Coach, I know it's just one game, but how was Michigan able to have so much success against their defense, and can that inform what you guys are able to do?
Yeah, I think it's just like anything. It's a rivalry game. Those guys, play extremely hard against each other, and Michigan did a lot of good things. But for us, we look at those guys just like I said, a lot of great skill from the running backs to the receivers, and obviously they got a lot of pride up front. How they go about their business. So. I just think anytime you play in a rivalry game, anything can happen. And, obviously Michigan was very fortunate that day.
Tim, from what you knew about this program when you signed on to be the DC, what have you learned in the time that you've been here that you feel like is the biggest reason why they've been able to have the success that they've had under Josh?
You saying us as a program, the success we've had? Yeah, the fan base, I think it starts there. They're very passionate, about the University of Tennessee, and rightfully so. It's a lot of, truth to this program in terms of what they've done in the past. And, we felt like, given the right, environment, you can have a chance to be very, very successful. So I think it just starts with the guys we've been able to recruit, the guys we've been able to keep here in the program, and, again, just the fan base. So, we've been very fortunate, to be able to win a lot of games here. And I think, again, it just starts with the passion the fans have, the way we play at Neyland Stadium, because of the energy those guys bring, week in and week out has been very exciting, to say the least. So I just think this is a very passionate fan base, a very passionate university that wants to win, and, we're just, extremely grateful to be a part of it.
You talk about a passionate fan base. I don't know if you've seen it online, but Tennessee fans are pretty much doing whatever they can to snag a ticket to this game. What does that say about just how eager they are to support the team that they've grown up watching?
Yeah, I'm not on the internet very often, but, I would assume it just speaks volumes to who these guys are. They want to support us no matter where we've been. We've been in a lot of venues, and, it's always great to be able to look up there and see that orange and white. So, hopefully this game will be no different. We'll get those guys in there, and they'll be cheering for us.
Tim, you're not going to have Jalen Smith in this game. What does that do to you defensively, and where is Edwin Spillman in terms of being ready if he's called on to step in that role?
Yeah, we were fortunate enough to get Edwin back, in the Vanderbilt game, which is great for us. So we're excited about him. We really are. He's definitely going to play a role in this game, and, he played a role in the Vandy game. We thought a lot of him, when we recruited him. So, he hasn't disappointed. It was obviously tough losing him, for the amount of time that we did, but we're excited to have him, so it'll be good. It'll definitely be a bigger role for him, and can't wait to watch him play.
You mentioned OSU being able to put stress on your team. How much stress do you think they'll be putting on your defensive backs, understanding the elite trio of wide receivers they have? Yeah,
I think it'll be a great challenge, for our guys. The way they run the ball, to set up the play-action pass and things of that nature, we're going to have to do a really good job of, obviously helping our guys on the back end. But, our DNA is, we want to be able to stop the run. So, yeah, it's going to be a great challenge. Our guys are eager for that challenge. They worked this whole season, to be in these type of venues and have these type of opportunities. So they'll be very excited for it.
Caleb on the left and then Patrick on the right.
Where have you seen Arian Carter grow the most this year?
Yeah, I think, losing KP early, in the year, was devastating for all of us. But I thought, the way those guys have stepped up, AC included, from a verbal perspective, being a lot more vocal with, what's going on in terms of our play calling. So I just think the leadership, I know he's always had it in him. He's kind of forced into it when we lost KP, but, he's definitely stepped up his game as far as leadership.
Tim, when you've got a couple corners that have played as well as Ricky and Jermont have this season, what does that allow you to do as a coordinator? How much trust have you sort of built in them over the course of the season and how they played? Yeah, we have a lot of trust in those guys. Obviously you breed confidence, by your play. Those guys have played extremely well all year. So, anytime you got good corners, it takes some stress off other positions and allows us to do different things, schematically. But we're going to need everybody. We're going to need the corners. We're going to need, obviously, the front, the linebackers, to be successful in this game. So, like I said earlier, having those guys on those edges is definitely a help sake for us.
Joe, with how many defensive linemen you've played this year, can you feel the impact of that and how fresh they are, maybe compared to some years where you weren't able to get as many guys in?
Yeah, I don't know if we can say fresh, but it's definitely, great to have that many, and be able to rotate those guys, as much as we have has been awesome. And we're going to need them all, to be successful this weekend. So I think when you build the defense, you always want to build it from the front to the back, and obviously on the perimeter, and we've been very blessed to have enough depth up front to be able to rotate those guys and still keep the standard to standard.
You mentioned the vocal leadership of Arian Carter, but one of the biggest leaders is Amari Thomas. How has he helped to keep the focus of the team, especially here in game week? Yeah, Big O has been very consistent, particularly these last couple years in terms of just being a positive role model for those guys. So he's doing his job. He speaks when he needs to speak, but I think everybody can look to him in terms of how he practices every week, week in and week out, no matter the opponent. So it's been big. He's had a ton of experience, and, all those guys look up to him.
Tim, you said back in August that one of your main goals for improvement of this defense was in the red zone. Why has this defense been so much better in the red zone than you have in previous years?
Yeah, I just think they're playing with a lot of confidence. We play a lot of guys up front, so I think we're fresh, particularly in those moments. I think a lot of it has to do with the back end and, high level those guys are playing at. But yeah, we've obviously concentrated on it coming into the season, and just like anything, you love to see the fruits of your labor, and those guys work really hard at it, and it's great to see those guys have played well at it.
Tim, I guess to the as best you could tell anyway, to this point this week, has the team treated this like a normal week? I mean, or are things up a notch, or do you want them to be up a notch, or do you want them to be the same?
Yeah, I mean, our routine is our routine. The way we get ready, our process, so to speak, is our process. So the kids are always excited, to play the game. And I think that's what I love about this team. They just want to play. They want to put the ball down and have an opportunity. And hopefully we'll get 4 opportunities at this thing. It starts with, Ohio State this weekend. And, it's going to be a great challenge for us. But just the way those guys have approached this game has been, very consistent in who we've been all year. Thank you, guys.